ทุกท่านคะอยู่กับงานและกิจกรรมย่อยของไซต์2022
So we are here in the forum session. It's a very interesting session because a lot of people would like to know about venture investors and VC because a lot of us come here today. If you can be part of this venture, what do you need to do? And here they are angel investors and also VC. So this is the post-COVID-19 venture landscape. So in this session here, you will hear from them. They are angel investors as well as VC. So we're going to hear from them. The first person, Mr. Thanapong Naranong from TVCA. The second person, Apishai Sakun Surya Det from T-Band. And the last person, CEO Tarat.com and also angel investor, Mr. Pawut Pong Wittaya Panu. I've heard about VC angel investor before, but I've never been one before. So I would like to understand the roles and also the responsibilities, what involved. Have you watched Korean series called Startup? Yes, of course. I really like the content. I really enjoy the content. You know, the mentor in the startup series and then that Korean series. Actually, that person is also the angel investor. So yeah, angel investor and also VC. At present, our session is being live broadcasted on NIC Facebook. I'm also the angel investor. Basically, we are the group of people that will step in at the initial phase of startup for a startup that shows great potential, and maybe the angel capitalists can help push the startups to basically to take off. So from Tarat.com, the owner of Tarat.com. So here, you joining us here as a role of investor. Actually, I started in the .com industry about 20 years ago, and it was even before the startup era. So it was the .com era and then startup era. So I had a business in .com era. I exited a few of them, got some money, and then we entered the startup era. I invested into about 40 companies using my own money. I was trying to invest in the early stage of new companies, of startup. So some people came to me and asked for input in ideas. And if I think it's a good opportunity, I may invest a few 100,000 or maybe in millions baht. And so the angel investors, although our investment amount might not be that high, but we step in at the early phase of the startup. And once the startup grows to a certain level, then we will have a bigger size investor that will be willing to invest a lot more amount into the startup or into the business. So we are angel investors. Actually, we hold high risk because for new startups, they have a high chance of not making it. But with angel investor, they help the startups to kick off. So I would like to ask Kun Mot, you have of course, everyone has their own criteria in investment decision. So before COVID-19, what kind of criteria or what do you look for before you make an investment? Potentials or what? Okay, so I would like to just add on to the other two speakers. So for startup has high risk, and for investor, they will not just throw in the whole lump sum into one investment. They're going to invest in phase. So at the initial phase, so there are 4 stages. So mostly there are like Kun Pom or Kun Apichai who are angel investors, and then there will be the next round of funding, and VC we will step in. So we call it Series A's and Series B's. So Series A's and Series B's, if successful, then Series C and then D and so forth. And then maybe you can exit, for example, exit into the stock market or sell to other people. So I would like to ask Kun Pom and Kun Apichai before COVID. So I would like to ask both of you, the platform idea, it is quite interesting and can be done. So before COVID, which kind of platform or business that you invested the most? I think during COVID, accelerate the growth of digital world because we all have to stay at home. So there were several services pre-COVID that kind of catch the rise of the digital trend during COVID. And during COVID, we also had new startups that came up with new innovation, and now is normalization period. It's the testing period of the ideas created during the COVID-19, whether they will be sustainable, whether they will be able to survive after the rise of digital boom during the COVID period. And this is a period or era that is very interesting. It's a catalyst. It will shift the consumption of consumers in digital world. So this is the time that we still keep an eye on what's going to happen. The criteria for evaluation might not change that much, but due to the current economic situation, the acquisition or acquiring of digital tools within the organization and also among normal consumers, the changes that we still keep an eye on. So before COVID, nobody knew that we would have COVID. So I invested in e-commerce and e-business operation. I was trying to put in vertical investment, for example, the sports stadium or motorcycle business. But during COVID, when the COVID hit, some businesses got hit the most. That was one platform that I invested about renting out bus. And of course, during COVID-19, nobody traveled using bus. So we had to change at that time. So trying to reduce the money consumption and develop new products. And we were trying to look into software of sports stadium management, because during COVID, gym or the use of sports stadium or sports facility reduced significantly. But there are some businesses, for example, pay solution or chip pop or big data platform grew significantly. Of course, pre-COVID, we didn't know about this, but post-COVID, I think for tourism, we had payment platform. We working on payment platform for booking of services I'm sure that we're going to see a lot more in this. And also, some businesses may gain momentum during COVID-19 due to COVID-19 because the COVID-19 catalyzed the growth of this kind of business. So I think there are a lot of opportunities to invest. For example, metaverse. We didn't have this word before COVID-19, but actually for metaverse, I wasn't sure about what to do with this, but Web 3 or Web 3.0 and the trends from outside Thailand, we start seeing people investing in this kind of technology, smart contract, blockchain.
Okay, may I ask you about blockchain? Is it worth investing? Yeah, I ask for the audience. Nowadays, if you're talking about my fund, venture of K Bank, half we look at the future, what investment. We think it's F3,
เว็บใหม่ของสตาร์ทอัพที่ยังมี
Web3, and we think if the stage your risk is higher, right, and you have more obstacles. Actually, we both have high risk. If they like the idea, คุณป๊อป and คุณพิชัย we lost easily. Actually, we lose easily, but not very much money invested. But if I invest after them, I will have to pay more. คุณพิชัย what's the obstacles that you facing that you think it make you out of the mood for investment? Any misunderstanding make you feel uncomfortable? I think angel investment, we have to mentally prepare. Otherwise, you should do nothing. Lifespan of exit is quite long, and it depends on what period you invest. But at the same time, to do the intelligence or background, when raise funding, there's no traction or enough business to do due diligence much enough as the following series. So that's the risk that we mentioned here. The risk that we have to measure. We have to measure the founder, our own experience, or the founding group, that we have how much they can push this startup and how much we can validate from the peers, from other countries, or Thai market. In other countries, fintech is very prosperous. But what about Thailand? What happened in the past, like credit card? But that's quite personal experience. Even though for angel, it's come in groups. Just like me, I come on the name of Thailand Business Angel. We come together, help together to do due diligence. So this is what we call area of risk quite high for the angel. By the time when we reach the stage BC, there's still measure of business in different way. Yeah, high risk, high gain. For example, what about you, Pipam? I have invested 40 companies and I have seen all kinds of reaction. All good, all bad, I have seen all through. Because when we are angel, it means it doesn't mean that I just give my money away and ignore, but I actually keep monitoring. Is it okay if set KPI, set goal? What can I help? So we're trying to help them as best as I can, and sometimes we just sit with them, talk with them, and on their to monitor on their operation. Some young people, they listen to me, but some not. They don't believe me. And so my role is more like a coach. We cannot really control everything because we hold a small share. So at one point I have to leave them alone because they don't listen to me. And I feel like they don't listen to my advice. Even though we know that the way they work, it's going to be collapsing. It's going to be the end of the business. But because some business just like grow like zombie, just keep growing very slowly. But we want to grow drastically, exponentially. So that's how BC interested. And PMOD is not gonna interested either. To cut screen to enter state VC in Thailand. Please be honest, how much potential Thailand has? Yes, I think we have a lot of potential. But for investment of startup, we need to have the large amount of investment. So we need enough amount. And if we invest in 10 companies, it may get successful only one. So that's why we have to invest so many. We have language barrier and vision. They grew up in this country, but when we look at startup in Singapore, it's just 5-6 million people, but they look for investment. They do the whole ASEAN region. So when I set up this to take a look on the market size only, it's quite difficult because we have a quite small scale. What about BC for like PMOD? Like what I'm experienced when I pitch, what I've seen is very few comparing to other countries that we can enter stage VC in Thailand. What's the chance of startup? When what you need, what's required? There's an angel investor, there's a VC sitting there. Like Pipom said, and you can accept it.
น้อยเนี่ยผมว่ามันเกิดจากหลายอย่างอีกอย่างหนึ่งที่เพิ่งคุยพี่ป้อมไปเรามี
Like คุณป้อม said, early stage. We call corporate VC. We waiting at Series A, Series D. We don't have time to look at details. But Kun Pom probably take a look more than us. Take about a couple months. How the considering time. Some company just we use gut feeling. If we like it, we just invest it because it's small size. I just give them like 500,000 baht and see how it goes. And what happened? The founder is not very behave appropriately. So for example. But for me, if I see there's anything wrong, I won't invest. So for me, I think Thai people has a lot of potential, but what's lacking in our ecosystem is the global vision. The startup and SME is different. We need to get understanding to set up a growth company, and SME, they have different mindset. So we should invest on this angel as we see. So I help grooming the new people. How much, whom should we talk with? Yeah, we are doing that. And we have readjust our structure. In terms of capital gain, if they get profit, they have to pay tax. Like me, I invest in startup and I get profit 5 million baht. But now if I follow the regulations, I can get the full benefit. Because if the regulations been obstacle and we have to pay too much tax, then Thai investor gonna turn to other countries. Can we be angel investor? Yes, money is borderless. We can invest in many countries, like Singapore. Yes, Singapore is very put a lot of investment. So what Thailand lacks of? What should we encourage? NIA promote support at their ready to support us. But what's really lacking? I think what's happening for capital gain is a good sign. Globalization of startup, of the next entrance into market. It's about language, pitching to the global world. We cannot be in the ecosystem of Thailand only. I think we have to do as alliance, and we see today there's a leader, there's a follower, and we need to talk the exposure that we need, the way we pitch, the way we create the business, the platform, angel. But there's still more exchange between those who already success. There's many factors to consider, but mainly, how can we help them to take off the ground, just like the airplane? So we need the supportive environment. Encouragement is the key to start up you need the global mindset, and your vision must be can be upscaling. And some may think that they happy for the nation, for only business in Thailand. That's fine, but we may think borderless. We may think beyond border. What about the perspective of from Pipom that for both Thai and international startup, what's the differences? What Thai startup should take a look? We are in the medium size in terms of country, and Thai language is only used in Thailand. So when the business only refined in Thai language, it's hard to grow. But like in Malaysia, once they've done it in English, it can grow anywhere. Malaysia, Singapore can attract investor from China, from the US. But in Thailand, we quite hard to attract to international investor because of the language barrier. So comparing to other countries, we have different version. I think one thing that we see quite clearly is that when after we have opened the country for 1 month, I have seen, I have met many, almost 20 Singaporean startups come talk to me. Why don't they have angel and VC? Yes, they have VC, but apart from coming here looking for VC and partner, they would like to broaden their perspective. They just fly here. But we think Thai people still very slow. Can you give some opinion that foreigner come to Thailand for VC? Those who went to Pimot, the big one, smaller one, come to us. Yeah, I think many people curious on your point of view. Startup have to compete with pace. The corporate also already do that. But how we can adopt the changes is very rapidly. Technology, customer behavior. So to beat the competitive, you need to get as fast as you can. And if you want to get anything success, you need to be fast. So before we become a startup, I have a very simple idea. For example, how necessary that we need to have platform or product that is quite amazing, or something simple but accessible by using platform or asset. Which one is more interesting? Comparing to the product, that's quite traditional. I think people may have different perspective, different opinion. For me, I'm interested in validation. What's the research? What's the test result? There's ideas can be changing. It could be emotional, sentimental, or real thing. But we have to look further. What's the potential founder? Not just create the idea, but there's lots of questions. You need to study more. It's the measure of the vision of the founder at the same time. You need to think 360 degrees, either tech or non-tech. If you tech, you can prove, but there are many ways to prove. No need for the large investment. Startup has maybe start fast, fail fast, start slow, fail slow, something. It depends on the mindset. Test and retest. Test in the country, test in other countries, test angel, test upside, can be upscaling, for example.
And Mr. Bob, what do you think? So if let's say the new idea is really good and compared to a simple idea, I think if your idea is really good but the execution it's not that great, then turning from idea to product or services pose a certain level of challenge. But for a simple idea, what's the customer base? What about the market accessibility? For example, one company invested in diet, telehealth, now meeting, doctor online. We've heard about this idea since 3G era, right? Everybody talks about telehealth, and then one person started a platform click and then click on the platform, talk to doctor. I think it was quite interesting because everyone was talking about concept, but this person can produce product, and this person is very passionate. Went into the association and also try to push for the right legislation, and then COVID-19 started, and the solution provided by this person has grown tremendously. So because we have heard for so long, so if you can turn, your idea into the market, if it is an idea that has been talking for a very long time, and then you become the first comer in the market, then you're going to gain a lot of market advantage. And if you are the second comer or the third comer, it will be more difficult for you. So I think at the end, it's about execution. Who's going to be faster? Who's going to execute better? So I think it's the speed. If you only come up with the idea but you don't do anything, then it's not going to work. So for non-VC, what would you like to see in Thai startups, and you are ready to support? We don't need to talk about VC or Series A because I think it's very difficult. But what would you like to see in Thai startup as a Thai person, or for those who would like to be angel investors? What would you like to see? Which sector that you are already ready to support? So actually, I would like to see growth in many sectors, because now when we look around in applications in our smartphone, actually only a few developed by Thai developers. And I think some of the applications we use for free, but they utilize or they take advantage of the data collected by the application. So of course the data will drive the direction in the world, and all our data are now in the hands of foreigners. So I would like the government to support main platforms to be developed by Thai people, national platform that Thai people can take part in. Everything, e-commerce or traveling, reservation, because we are the hub of tourism. And in the past, application from overseas for reservation, all of them faced problems. So I think we should actually take that opportunity to grow platforms. I was trying to push for it, but it didn't make it. So now post-COVID, it's going to be challenging to compete. So I was trying to push for e-service tax, collecting services from the foreign service provider. And now we already have legislation. They need to pay that value-added tax. So they have to pay 7 baht for every 100 baht as tax to the government. So this is just the beginning, but at least we see the number. And what we have seen is that in the first half of the year, we were able to collect tax from 120 foreign countries providing services in Thailand. We were able to collect almost 50 billion baht. So 50 billion baht we paying outside the country. This is just only half the year. This amount became tax collected by the government. Actually, at first, we aim for 5 billion, but only half a year we reached 50 billion. So I think the whole year we're going to spend 100 billion baht for these services. This is the amount of money that travel outside the country. And this is the amount of money that we spend on purchasing services from overseas. So here, it's actually greater than purchasing petrol or oil into the country. So if we can, solve the deficit.
น่าสนใจมากเลยในช่วงหลังโค
ต้อง
วิด
บอกว่าเซ
เปิ
ก
ด
เตอ
แล้ว
ร์ไหน
เนี่ย
ไม่น่าสนใจดีกว่า
So actually, everything is very interesting. But as you said, that some of the ideas have been faded away quite a bit. So I think I also have to check my own portfolio. And maybe I need to invest in new kind of business. So for example, with 3.0, I think it's very interesting in terms of smart contract. And actually, I'm quite interested in biotechnology, and very few mentions about this and I think it's very interesting, gene and biotechnology. I really want to invest in this. So what do you think will gain your interest? So I think from what I have noticed, food, agriculture, wellness, travel, finance, and fintech. And maybe in the future, biotechnology combining with food. I think now fintech is highly competitive. It's a matured market. And just to answer your question, the previous question and this question, what I would like to see in Thailand's environment is I would like to see more innovation in the country. So if the private sector or the government can try to stimulate this sector, maybe we can work on the education system, investment ecosystem, and a lot of startups focuses on, if they can focus on innovation that can actually deliver substantial benefits. There are a lot of problems that we can solve in this world. There are plenty of them. We can't say there's no problem to solve. Startups exist in order to solve problems, in order to enhance, in order to step forward. So I think the mindset of innovator and not just focus on any specific sectors, because post COVID-19 opportunities are presented to all sectors. So I think it's the courage as well. So as VC, Mr. Thanapong, I would like you to leave a message behind for all the startups. If you would like to step into this arena, maybe you don't have to speak as a VC, but as someone who is highly experienced in this area. So I think if you would like to get into startup, you need to understand how. You need to deeply understand how to do it. Recently, I met someone who wanted to be a startup or has experience in deep tech. So I asked the same thing. Have you watched startup Korean series? Just a few raised their hands. So I think it's very important that you understand what startup is, what involves, and you have to understand. You can watch the series first, and just like what we discussed initially. So for those who are very good at startup, you need to understand design thinking. Maybe you can take courses, so then you can turn the idea into something that meet the needs of your customers. And of course, there's a livelihood of startup people. Then maybe you can Google it, how they work, how they turn the idea into reality. How do you execute your idea? And if you do it right, investors will come to you. So asking T-Ban, so what would you like to share, or a message you would like to leave with the startups or younger people who would like to pitch their business ideas in each competition, either inside or outside Thailand, how they should prepare themselves? So I think the first thing, I agree with Mr. Thanapong. First, I think you need to study the successful case, how they grow. Secondly, maybe study the market. The market, can they accept, will the market accept and ready to be receptive to the ideas and products you would like to offer, how far you can grow in this market, and thirdly, how are you going to execute your ideas if you don't have the experience in setting up a business? What are the components you need? So, and anything for angel investors? I think a lot of people would like to be an angel investor. So for angel investors, those who have invested before, of course, you understand about the benefits and risk. It's a new area of investment. It might be different from traditional investment, higher risk, but with the right experience and the network like what we have, what T-Band has, or maybe joining training in angel investor, but actually you need to rely on your own experience together with other people's experience. And you need to think, you have to anticipate into what can happen in the future, how you're going to piece all the jigsaw pieces together. And in terms of business, in terms of industry, what kind of customers, what kind of sectors that you need to understand. So what angel investor brings into each startup is not only money but also experience and network. So of course everything comes with risk, but don't be afraid to try. And two categories from you: Thai startup and angel investors. So I think for Thai startup, you need to know which stage you are at. Are you at the early stage? You need the right business model, and also you need to make sure that you validate your idea, validate your market, and see if your market is feasible. Or maybe you have already started, you already took off, then you have to come back at the execution. What's your budget target? What's your goals, target, financial targets, and also your team, the personal. Because for the problems of startups after growth stage, they fail because of the team. More people, more problems, and then branding, marketing, so many things. So during the growth stage, you need to know. You need to be aware of your pain points, of your problems, of the personal, because you need different tactics to address different problems. And for angel investors, I think for investor, especially technology sector, if you are the traditional investor, you need a new mindset. Because I remember someone said, "Oh, I think your business is great. I would like to put in 2 million baht, but I would like 51%. That's the different mindset, because with that mindset, you wanted to take over the business. It's not like that, because usually the amount you invest will cover a small proportion of the company, but you invested in order to provide your know-how. And for this event, I think it's a very interesting event. If you like any event, don't think too much. You can also rely on your emotion and then just give it a try. I think we have very few angel investors, just like you. It's just like when you meet a beautiful person, a beautiful woman. You can just give it a try. But of course, it comes with a certain level of risk. So when we invest, we have to support them. We are not trying to take over or dictate them. So, and last person, what would you like to share with us? Leave behind important message from you as we are moving towards global stage, and maybe someone who would like to be an angel investor and also VC. From Mr. Thanapong. So first of all, for a startup, so I would like to invite you to come to site 2022, and after 2 years, finally we are here physically here on site at YOT. We also have metaverse. So if you would like to join us online, you can also join us through metaverse. But it would be great to come here on site, get to see the ecosystem, get to see what's been going on. And for me, I have invested in quite a few And for angel investors, they need to spread out their investor and spread their investment into several businesses. But of course, overseas they receive great support from government. So for angel investor, maybe we can invest about 10 companies, but with support from government, maybe we can invest in 20 businesses instead of just 10. So I think if we have matching funds supported by the government, then we can help support early stage startups even further. And for VC, of course, NIA is also part of the support of the existing support, but of course we would like more support from the public sector. And also the final message from Mr. Pichai. I would like to encourage all of you to visit us here on site. We are very fortunate that in post-COVID-19, we have the hybrid event. So you can come here on site or you can join us online. We are coming back to the normal, just like before COVID. So in startup, the more you wait, the more opportunities you will lose. You can come here and learn new ideas, gain more resources, find more resources to invest. So fast mover will give you the advantage. And our last speaker, so many of you who are watching this session, if you are a startup, what you want is, you want money, of course, that will be what you want, and how you can get our money into your pocket. So I think if you have what it takes, if you have the ideas, you can go to the website and contact me. Go to Facebook, send me a message that you have an idea, you have a company, and you would like to pitch an idea to my team, or if you already have some tractions, maybe you are at the moderate size, you can also get in touch with me. So don't wait. If you think your product is great, then come in for a business pitch and we will give you feedback. Don't be scared. It doesn't mean that you're going to get everything in the first round. You'll probably get a lot of tough comments in the first round, but at the end, just keep going and you will get the money in your pocket and make your dream comes true. So you need to have the courage. And once you have the money, don't just stop there. Because some people, once they get the money, they just stop. That for me, it's not going to happen in my case, because if Mr. Parwood is your angel investor, you're going to be trained hard. So here we have VC, we have angel investor. So thank you very much, all our speakers. Thank you. Mr. Parwood, T-Ban, Mr. Apichai, Mr. Thanapong, our VC and angel investors. So for today, lesson learned to rethink and transform your mindset. Don't wait. Speed is important. Thank you very much. A big thank you, and we're going to come back later. Thank you.